The number of children in Florida being Baker Acted, meaning court-ordered involuntary psychological examinations, is surging, up by 50% in the last 5 years. What is going on here? That is our focus tonight. But first, ABC 7's Alex Redmond with a short history of the Baker Act.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha.
Historically, protection for those suffering mental illness was lacking, even considered at times a joke.
During the second half of the 18th century, we had a Mental Health Act that permitted vagrants to be hospitalized against their will indefinitely.
In the 18th century, there were no medications, and so treatment was, by today's standards, barbaric.
Water torture. A spout of water could be over your head after it's been shaven and drip on your head, supposed to be to restore sanity. You could be locked into a room and with a straitjacket, arms confined.
Forensic psychologist Dr. Eddie Renier explains patients were not informed of their rights. They couldn't write or talk to anyone other than one outside contact.
How about it, you creeps, you lunatics, mental defectives?
The iconic film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, set in a mental institution in the 1960s, was an eye-opener. In 1971, the Baker Act, named after Maxine Baker, a former Florida state legislator and advocate for the rights of the mentally ill, became law.
Well, the Baker Act changed, gave rights to patients. Patients could receive mail, they could vote, patients could talk to anybody they wanted to, and they were permitted to have legal representation. That is, if they're being held against their will for 6 months, a lawyer, a magistrate would come and hear and look at their status, if they were making any progress.
Dr. Renier says the days where you could be institutionalized forever without ever having a release date were over. Now, the number of Baker Acts for Sarasota's 2016 fiscal year, October through September, including adults and children, are 1,429, and Manatee County is 398.
That mental health workers can initiate a Baker Act. And the criteria for a Baker Act, the person has to really suffer from a mental disorder, and not simply because they're misbehaving or because they're poor, because they're vagrant, because they're homeless. That's not a reason to sign a Baker Act. You have to have an identifiable criteria of mental disorder.
Protocol for the Baker Act, also known as the Florida Mental Health Act, has changed, in particular when it comes to the school system. School counselor Linda Wenmark explains.
So if you have a student who is in kind of imminent danger of hurting themselves or hurting someone else, then we are required to go through a protocol.
Wenmark says there is a duty to warn, so the family is informed, and a checklist determines the level of threat.
At that point, either the family has contacted mental health or we have helped them to contact mental health, and then they would go for an evaluation. That can last up to 72 hours, but it's the family taking them on a voluntary basis, or if law enforcement is called in, which might happen if it was a threat to someone else.
If someone is so mentally disturbed that they're a danger to themselves or to other people, if they suffer from delusions or paranoia, they're not eating or they're threatening to someone because of voices, hallucinations, then that person clearly meets criteria to be Baker Acted.
Reporting in Sarasota, Alex Redmond, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
Well, I wasn't really sleeping at night, and I was talking to my neighbor who's a minister, and I was having anxiety problems, and he thought it would be a good idea to go down to the hospital so they could prescribe you some medication. And I really wasn't too, I was a little bit hesitant about it, but I thought, he's an older guy, maybe I should listen. He's a 65-year-old man, he's a minister, he knows what he's talking about. So he went down to the hospital, and they ended up injecting me with Haldol. I guess that's what it's called, 4 different shots of it. And it took them 4 shots to knock me out. And then I woke up in PIMS, the mental health facility, which was a little bit of a shock.
They had him admitted to PIMS, and I told him, if you have him admitted to a psych ward, there's going to be problems. People are going to have to pay for this, because I know what these places are about. I went to rehab when I was 13, and I was told that I had to take their Paxil. I overdosed on Paxil, went to rehab, and got prescribed Paxil. I didn't want to take it. It turned a 3-month program into 8 months. you don't take their drugs, they keep you. And I knew that that's what the deal was, which is why I got so livid about them having him put in the PEMS.
Then they, you know, I did 3 days, I guess. I was wondering what was going on. I didn't know anything. I guess I was detoxing off the Haldol. And they prescribed me medicine, which I didn't want to take. And they made me feel like I had to take it or else they'd send me to a state ward.
And we were talking to Donnie about what he was experiencing. He said he was having heart palpitations and tremors. He didn't like the way it felt. So we went to talk to the nurse, the head nurse that was on duty at the time, about it, and we told her what was happening, the side effects he was experiencing, which you should be taking off the meds at that point, I would think. If you're having heart problems, that's what I read on the FDA side anyway. And so I asked my brother, have you been informed of alternative treatment? He said no. I said, okay, were you informed of side effects? He said no. I said, okay, well, at that point I started getting a little bit upset. So I went and talked to the nurse. I said, you know, at this point he was supposed to have been released twice already. He's been held for, what at this point is the 7th day, I think. They were supposed to release him after 72 hours. And he told me at that 72-hour mark that the doctor tricked him into signing a form for him to stay. They said he'd be getting released, it's not a problem, just sign the form. Well, the form he signed was a voluntary admission form to keep him for another 72 hours. And he wasn't too happy about that, neither was I.
And so I was taking the meds and I got out, and it really, as soon as I stopped taking the meds, my whole entire body started to hurt, like within the first 2 days. And then I really started to withdraw and just completely lose my mind. I was crazy. Like, I was working with my brother, running through the streets thinking I was some type of soldier or something, looking for a tank, thinking I'm calling an airstrike.
I was going over the list of the FDA side effects that you should see emergency assistance for, and he was suffering, I think, 17 out of the 30 emergency side effects, you know. It's bad stuff. And I remember him telling me it's worse than, you know, than dope withdrawals. Like, his whole body was shutting down, and it's pretty scary stuff.
Well, I knew that they were harmful from the beginning, because I mean, that's all my brothers always, you know, taught me about that kind of stuff. But the thing was, when I was with the doc, you know, in the PIMS, I thought I had to take them, and they got them in my system. And I knew that was a real bad thing, but I didn't understand how bad it really was until, I mean, after now it's all said and done, I'm like, wow, I'll never touch a prescription pill again.
And some of the stuff, that Haldol is wicked. Some of the stuff he was saying, you know, he said everything tasted like blood, and just crazy off the wall things that he would never say, you know, in his normal mind.
And now that I've, I mean, I was having anger problems, anxiety problems, like I said, wasn't sleeping at night, which I still, but I understand that, like, I can control that. And, you know, it's not something that I need to have a prescription drug for. And if I was on prescription drugs, I'd be a zombie, you know, if they put me on. If I were to be on those same drugs, I'd probably be drooling out of my mouth, not able to really have a conversation. I'm glad that I got off that, because that would be bad.
Antipsychotic medication causes schizophrenia according to the FDA, so I don't understand that. Nausea medication causes nausea. The only thing that I know of that doesn't cause what it's supposed to prevent is ADD medication, which still causes a vast amount of other things that are worse than ADD. You know, do natural treatment, look up whole foods, organic, go to your local whole food store, talk to the people in the nutrition section, you know. Nature is way better than anything man could ever think of making, you know. If you find your loved ones in a mental facility, give every single staff member in there hell every single day. Call them every hour on the hour and be as much of a pain as you possibly can. That's the best way I know of to get somebody released, because that's what I had to do. That's about it.
Excellent. Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm Alex Finari. I grew up in Miami, Florida, and have spent most of my life here in Florida. My mother was assistant to the county manager and was the first female to be assistant to the county manager in Dade County. And because she was very active in government and in lobbying both the state and the federal government, Maxine Baker was a friend of hers. They were involved in the League of Women Voters together, and I think Maxine Baker would be appalled at our current mental health system. I think she would find that the rights that she wanted to give to people and to people with mental illnesses, and that the whole system of putting people away for 72 hours is, while it's shorter than it used to be in the mental health hospitals, the result is still the same. You have taken away their rights for 72 hours and you're providing no treatment. And I think she would be outraged and would be the first in line to say that major changes need to happen in the mental health system in Florida.
Here's an update from the health law firm.
The Baker Act covers voluntary as well as involuntary commitment to a psychiatric facility. People that are committed involuntarily must meet very specific criteria, but sometimes that criteria is not met. We often receive calls from the husband, wife, parents, children, or friends of individuals who have been confined involuntarily to a mental facility. Often we are called on to respond urgently to obtain the release of someone who may have been incorrectly confined to a mental institution without their consent, says board-certified attorney George Indest. If your loved one has been involuntarily confined under the Baker Act, contact an experienced attorney to help get them released. If required, an emergency petition for writ of habeas corpus can be filed to bring the patient before a judge for an emergency release hearing. The health law firm represents individuals, families, and friends in challenges to and hearings related to the Florida Baker Act when the basic criteria for confinement are not met and there is no medical necessity for further confinement.
For more information, visit thehealthlawfirm.com.
Need a car? Don't forget to stop by carmarshal.com, where you can scout through over 100,000 new and used car vehicles. Take a look around. Get you a new affordable car. carmarshal.com.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I found that I had to make a change this ending on my videos, letting you know about the channel and fair use laws, you know, how we can report on other people's reporting and how it's good, how it's bad, etc. But you guys can look it up yourself. It is legal. It's in there. But like I've told you before, that I've been cut off from making money on YouTube for 4 years. It's really weird, bizarre, but they cut the money off, but they said you can keep the channel, and now YouTube makes all the money. And if you get bored, plug it into Social Blade website, and you'll see that they are making a huge amount off the site. Right now it's at 63 million views, 53,000 subscribers, almost 3 million views a month. You know, trying to wake people up, and I make nothing. In fact, I got a customer that's ex-congressman. He said if I could ever find a lawyer, sue YouTube on it. But because this is nuts. 4 hours a day, and to save America. You know, but at the same time, it's worth it. Look at what our founding fathers did. They died for this country. So, but getting back to the money part, this is why I'm redoing the video. Is my dream of everyone giving $1, and it's going to be $53,000 a year, or if they did Patreon, which you know, can be monthly. That is not working. That'd be great if it did. Nothing is perfect. And I appreciate the people that do donate, you know, what they can on PayPal. And there again, I'm letting you guys know that is not much. Is, you know, monthly is, oh my god. So anyways, yes, you cannot live on it. It's very, very, very low amount. But the dollar things, I do appreciate that. But when I first said everybody give $1, that's not working. I'm just letting you guys know it's, yeah, that's that dream. Everybody gives $1. 53,000 subscribers, it's not working. So yes, if you can give more than that, you know, I appreciate it. Like I said, you know, I'm in a unique situation where, you know what, we're already debt free, and I'm not rich, but with the little business that we have, I am able to do what I am able to do 45 hours a day, you know, letting you guys know what's going on. In 4 years, I've did the whole thing myself, 12,000 videos on there. I literally get emails where people are like, holy crap, I never knew it was this bad. And it is this bad, and it's getting worse every day because we have the internet, we have cell phones, we have cameras everywhere now, and it's just disgusting what's going on. And then, as you guys know, too, we got Trump, we got Jeff Sessions doing a war on drugs, and now he wants to go after the forfeiture laws again. It's just unfreaking real. So, if you can give more than that, that dream of everybody giving $1, yeah, that old video, that's not working. They're not, they're just not. So anyways, if you can give more than that, that dream is not working. Hardly anybody is giving. There you go. So that's why I'm remaking the video. If you can give more than that, that would be great. And there again, like I said, the Patreon's there. There is some people on there that are starting to give, but there again, it's very, very low. And like I said, I don't want to get rich off of that. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because, you know, it's still so stinking corrupt. It's not even funny. My court case that I'm going to be paying out of my pocket myself with Charlotte County's coming up. They illegally looked me up and then posted all my information on LEOAFFAIRS website. They basically doxed me, however you want to say that. I forget what the word is, and they outed me, man. And that information on that site went out to 500 sheriffs, deputies, people that work at the jail, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, it is very, very scary, but we're going to do a federal case, 1983 case, violating freedom of speech. We have 17 cameras in the house now. We got 2 cameras in the car. I always carry a camera plus a cell phone. A lot of people are highly recommending I get a vest now. If I could, if the wife would let me, I would run for sheriff. We are trying to push the thing nationwide right now. Where just to mix it up and to get the topics out there is register to run for sheriff, NPA, no party affiliation, as a write-in, and that is completely free, and you can participate in the elections. And there's a lot of stuff. We got a guy, James McLinnis in Pinellas County, Tampa, who almost won. He experienced the corruption himself. The story is unbelievable. Look him up. It's mind-blowing what they did. It pissed him off. He is very, very smart. He has way more money than I did. He ran for sheriff at the last 3 months last year in 2016 and almost won. He got all of the black vote. And the reason why he did that is because he ran in, I will not bust, we're in Florida, I will not bust anybody for weed anymore unless it's an ungodly huge amount, like pounds. And then he also ran in no more victimless crimes, no more of this freaking road pirate bull crap. And then he was going to cut the budget by 30%. And when you think about that, you can. If you stop the road pirates, you can get rid of a bunch of people. Gone. So, the wife has been saying, yes, I can, yes, I can't. So I don't know. We're trying to find somebody that can do it because I am busy doing this anyways. But, so I'm making a video, like I said, that $1 a month from everybody, you know, for 53,000 subscribers, that is not working. I'm just letting you guys know. Absolutely give way more than $1 a month. If you can, I appreciate anything. By the way, remember, too, when you give that, PayPal takes like freaking 15 to 20%, so it's even worse than that. But, and there again, like I'm letting you guys know, it's way, what I get is very, very low. Appreciate it. But it is very, very low. Can't live on it. I'm just, you know, I'm working, and that's what I'm working on. And that court case is going to cost a buttload of money. That's federal court. Just the filing fees and the depositions that we're going to be doing with this corrupt cop. So there's another reason to give. We are going to be doing a deposition with this very corrupt. He was in a drug squad. He is a bad guy. He's on steroids. We heard steroids are rampant here. That's why their attitude is so bad. And we are going to get him on video, and it will be on YouTube. So that case alone is $5,000 just to bring it to court, and that's my money out of my pocket. So there's another reason to give, and give way more than $1 if you can. So keep that in mind. This is the new video, and I see, God, I talk a lot. It's already 7 minutes, but had to make it just to let you know the $1 a month from everybody is not working. They're not doing it. So if you can give more than that, please. So thanks. Keep it up. Share, like, subscribe, tell your friends, send me your videos on corruption, and I'll post it.